Well, so welcome to the official first CISL Munich Brainfood starts right now. It's our spotlight on nourishing ideas for a sustainable future. And if you kindly could go to the next slide, please.
Sure.
It actually came up in one of our last networking meetings. We discussed about actually we should. I mean, there's such a brain. Also, the reason for calling it brain food within our community here in Munich. Actually, also in the global community of CISL alumni, that we said let's start in Munich with something like a webinar over lunchtime. Why lunchtime? Because like this you can use your time over lunch and listening in, so you're all allowed to eat. That's what the reason why you are on mute, and I think that might also be the reason why a lot of you are putting like the camera off. It's fine for us. Listen in. We have a session in the end after our input, so you're able to ask questions. And it came up in I think it was in the Footprint Intelligence conference. So we discussed, shouldn't we set up this series of webinars? And what we are thinking about is having it to 4 to 6 brain food sessions per year, depending on the community, depending on how many people are willing to share their expertise and sparking a conversation on hot topics, because the goal is to feed our minds with fresh ideas, thinking on tackling or how we are able to tackle the most challenging, pressing sustainability challenges and learning from each others, and to co-create a space where we are able to nourish. And Matthew Kilgariff wrote back on our LinkedIn post, delicious, kind of like on the idea of calling it brain food and nourishing ideas. And so also spark a light on the power of this community. And going into our very first session today on the next slide is that today we want to put a spotlight, as we'd like to call it, on the digital product passport. And I just can see that this slide is not coming in the right way, but it's okay. It's about the digital product passport. And we have Ekaterina today with us from Ernst & Young, and Wolfgang Steiner from Ecoviator. I hope I spelled it right. And I am your anchor woman, and I'm hosting it and giving you the space. Also to all of you out there listening, because we also want to give and shine a light on your ideas and on your expertise. And it's about from zero to theoretical implementation for large companies and SMEs. It's about the relevance and basic on the digital product passport, the implementation, the data, and the technology. So that's what we are going to look into today. So the agenda is it's my welcome introduction. I will also moderate your questions in the end, and also give a light on what's up, what's next. And now Ekaterina and Wolfgang will talk 10 to 15 minutes each about their expertise, about what they know about the upcoming digital product passport. And afterwards, we are handing over and will open the mics for your questions and, of course, answers from the two experts here with us from our CISL Alumni Network. So handing over now to Ekaterina and Wolfgang, saying thank you that you two are the first ones, our pilots for this very first CISL Munich Brainfood session with a spotlight on the digital product passport. Looking forward.
Thank you very much, Birgit. Ekaterina, let's kick it off.
Yeah, first of all, I really want to thank you that I'm invited to this session. I'm very glad that I can represent also my company here and my knowledge, because this topic is really on my heart. I love it, and I hope that you will enjoy the session. We all know that we are facing a lot of challenges, environmental challenges, but let's talk about them in the perspective of the materials, and let's talk some numbers, also see where we are, and also with the comparison with the previous years, are we improving or not? Materials are responsible for 50% of global climate change and 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress. That's a lot, but are we using them efficiently? Well, let's see. I don't think so, because the increase of the waste is going to make about 90% from 2020 until 2050, so and reaching almost 4 billion tons a year. We all know that we do have overconsumption, but how big are the numbers? Let's try to understand that if we continue consuming like this, then we will need almost 2 Earths very soon. If we would like to consume as OECD and EU countries, it's going to make over 3 Earths. And if we consume more like USA and Canada and Luxembourg does, it will be more than 5.5 Earths. I believe that we have just one. The humanity is exploring the space, but unfortunately, we do have only one Earth. And then moving to the circularity, unfortunately, we are not getting more circular, but less. I have compared those figures with the previous years, and we see the decline in their number of goods which have been placed on the European market, which have been sourced from the reused or recycled materials have been declined to 7%. Well, this doesn't look good, but I'm an optimistic person, and what I see positive here is that there is room for development. So let's see what we can do. Could you move to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
ESPR introduces a digital product passport, which is going to be mandatory very soon for the majority of the companies. It's basically an electronic record of all the essential information of the product from the time it has been developed and manufactured until the end of its usage, also involving after-sales activities. And the purpose of it is exactly to provide this information to different stakeholders, to make it accessible to them so that they can make informed decisions across the value chain. ESPR has defined the prioritized product groups, which are subject to the delegated acts. So the first product group is the iron and steel, then there comes textile and apparel, tires, continental and aluminium, then furniture and mattresses. DPP is not only relevant for one regulation, but it's also mandatory for EUBR, EU battery regulation, and it can be helpful for ESRS. Some companies are really struggling with getting the data for ESRS A5 standards and digital product passport to provide the data for circularity and streamline the KPI generation. Last question within the relevance topics: what are the affected stakeholders? Manufacturers and importers, which are typically responsible for placing the goods to the European market. So the majority of work will be put on them. They will create the DPP and register it and keep it up to date and make it compliant to the ESPR requirements. But also distributors should act with due care regarding compliance when making products available on the market, and they should verify that the products bear necessary conformity marking and are accompanied by the required documents, and the dealers would be responsible to make the information accessible to the clients. So they're still not out of scope. Now let's connect the dots. We know the stakeholders, we know what is DPP, there are certain requirements. Let's see what kind of data is going to be circulating and along the product passport. The key message which I would like to give you is that if this is a living document, the data is being filled and then filled and reused during the whole product life cycle. So we start with the raw material producer. Obviously, it already gives the information about the material, where it comes from, meaning deforestation as well, and also how many emissions it has issued, and also about the water and ground contamination. Then it goes to the branded designer. I have to specify that this is just an example. We don't know the exact information yet, as the delegated acts are not out yet. But this is our assumption, how it can look like. It can differ also from company to company and from the industry to industry. I also would like to emphasize that I have put branded designer and manufacturer separately, but this can also be only one stakeholder. Suppliers are also not included here, and they are also manufacturers. So this is how you should understand this scheme. It's more flexible and actually more complex in reality. But just to understand which data flow we have, how it looks like, I have done this simplification. So the brand and designer, they get the information from the raw material provider, and they also do the input on the resource consumption, for example. And manufacturer, which can also be the brand designer, they provide additional information on the additional emissions which have been produced during the production. Now, when it goes to the distribution, there comes the packaging, eco labels, and again waste generation. And then here the product might also be circulating a couple of rounds, and I think it's also the best case scenario. I think this is the purpose, that it will be circulating between the end user, then collector, and then to another reuser several times, unless it gets either to recycler and being recycled, or maybe it returns to the very beginning point to the material producer, and then the recycling material will be used. Moving on.
We're entering into implementation now, Ekaterina.
Exactly. Thank you. So we have seen the picture, what we want to do. Let's check the timeline again, how much time we have. The ESPR have been introduced and also entered into force into 2024. Then this year already, their working plans have been published where the priority groups have been announced. Now we are waiting for the first delegated act. Probably it will be iron steel, because it should be implemented is 2026. It's the first delegated act to be implemented. This is why I only show you this example, but the further industries are coming later also on this timeline. What I would like to draw your attention on is that companies might have approximately 18 months of transition time after the delegated act will be implemented. And I would like to pose an open question, which I would like you to think about, and then maybe you can tell me in the end what's your perspective on this question. Is this 8 months of the transition time enough to implement the DPP? We don't know when exactly it will be implemented. This means it can be beginning of 2026, but could be also the end. And this gives us additional buffer. Because the question is, if we start now, before the delegated act has been implemented, or later, when it's already being done. So this means if we answer the question negatively, saying that no, it's not enough, we need more time, then we need to act now. Then we have this buffer. Okay, let's have a look at the organization. This is also just an example, and I also would be happy to hear your insights, and maybe you can share how exactly your company is structured and how those topics are allocated between the departments. So basically what needs to be done and which departments need to be involved. Let's start from the product and the architecture. Product management is and engineering is in lead. I think Wolfgang is going to more details later. Then what I find particularly interesting, because I have 10 years experience in the supply chain management, that the ESG data collection along the value chain can also be allocated differently. I have seen the case when the company had the supply chain traceability team, which has been a part of the sustainability and also not really included into the procurement. So it could be that there is an extra department collecting the supply chain information. However, it does not exist. Procurement might be in lead. It really depends on the company. I also know that there are some people interested in the marketing here. So I can see that marketing is supporting a lot of activities along the DPP implementation. Maybe you can share more insights later and tell me also where marketing could be in lead. That would be very interesting. Moving forward. I would not like to overwhelm you with the full scheme. It's very detailed, but to give you an idea what exactly needs to be done and how the implementation of the DPP could be tackled. So the first step should not be underestimated. It's just getting the awareness and understanding of the requirements of the DPP, and also which stakeholders need to be involved. Each step brings certain challenges, and here we might also face the challenge of the data and legal complexity. So the company might already need consultation on this phase, but not necessarily. Maybe they just train people within their department, but they need more resources for it. Also engaging stakeholders along the supply chain and also within the company. You have already seen how many stakeholders need to be engaged within the company and also outside of the organization. It takes time and it could be challenges, because the stakeholders, first, they need to be willing to collaborate, and second, they should have capacities. Then we move to the planning and preparation. We know what needs to be done, but we don't know yet what we have. So on this stage, we do status quo assessment and the gap analysis. We need to understand which data is missing and which processes are needed to implement DPP and also to retrieve this data. And we develop the strategic business plan. The biggest challenge, as the data systems might be really complex, but also the existing systems might not be compatible to the existing requirements. The processes might not be in place. And here we also do face the change management. As soon as we introduce the new system or the new process, we also need to talk with people. So first we need to understand if we have enough people, enough resources. We might hire additional departments. I have talked with several people, and I was a bit surprised that many companies have 1-2 people in the sustainability. All the sustainability functions are left to them, and of course it's not possible to implement it by themselves. So we might need to hire new people, but also we might need to train people to work with the new processes. And some people are reluctant to change, and here we have to talk about change management. Change needs time and some definite approach. Then we finally move to the design and development, and we are ready to map out the process for the data collection, validation, storage. And here the best practice is already run a pilot with the selected product lines, just to understand what is working, what is not, and then some improvements could be done later. At this point, there is a challenge that the process for the data handling could be complicated, and it needs to be established from scratch. And also, again, a special knowledge with the IT systems is needed, especially when working with external stakeholders. IT systems might not be compatible, so the APIs might not function, and it takes time to find out a best solution. Finally, there is the implementation rollout. I think when all the 3 first stages have been done well, this process should run smoothly. The biggest challenge is in standardizing the DPP process across the multiple product lines. Remember, we have already run the pilot with the selected project lines, but then this process should be brought to the routine and it should be standardized for all the product groups, which might be different. The supply chains for different product groups are different and the challenges are different, the stakeholders are different. So sometimes finding the standardized process is a challenge. After that, the project doesn't finish because, as I said, DPP is a running process. So we need to continue monitoring and optimize. We have to continue learning on the mistakes and taking the best practices and improve the process. But it's important to assure the quality. This is why the KPIs need to be set to measure the effectiveness of the DPP implementation. Official assurance might be required as well, meaning that the auditors should be engaged. And here I see that the challenge might be in meeting all the requirements before the external compliance, before the auditor comes. So the companies might need the internal audit as well. Summing it up, there are several challenges. The companies might tackle them alone, but also they might need consultations, and tackling those challenges and overcoming them not only ensures compliance, but also enhances supply chain management. Just before leaving the stage to Wolfgang, just a smooth introduction to his part. So we have seen what needs to be done. Let's check the status quo, which data is already available for most of the companies on the market. To tell the truth, I've been a bit surprised to see those numbers. Only 53% of the companies are aware of their tier 1 and 17% of tier 2 supplier data. And you can see that waste management is also not being reported in the amount which would be expected for DPP. So I still think there is way to go. So please, Wolfgang, I think he wants to give you more details. I'm also looking forward for his part.
Well, let me see whether I can live up to your expectations. Thanks, Ekaterina, for the comprehensive intro on the whole topic. The nice thing about this format, Birgit, I really love it because we have experts also in the audience, and we can talk about our experience, our insights, and how we feel the different demands and challenges actually are taking place in the economy across the different businesses. Ekaterina, you've just mentioned it earlier. It seems corporations, affected corporations are struggling a bit. I had the opportunity to attend the Circular Tech Forum the other day together with Gisela here with us in the audience. And the Institute for Wirtschaft presented mind-blowing, but in a negative sense, figures. Because if you look at these charts, just have to actually focus on the top one. All companies here, it means 4% are taking measures on DPP. 11% are planning to engage with DPPs, which means basically, Tatiana, I know that you and your company are already working on DPP solutions in a pilot stage, which is great, but it actually means 85% of all responding companies to Institute for Wirtschaft in this study from they've released that in summer 2025 are not planning anything on this matter, with delegated acts also for the textile industry, for example, coming out in January 26, And then there are only 18 months until these organizations need to have a digital product passport in place, else their products are going to become illegal. You cannot sell them anymore within the EU without a functioning access to a digital product passport. I find these numbers really staggering. And you already mentioned the fact that the direct link to their tier 1 suppliers or tier 2 suppliers, it is only fragmentedly developed. If you can't receive the information from them, how do you plan as a company to issue the information in a digital product passport? So it doesn't really work like this. What is important to me today is to make sure that we do not look at the digital product passport as a compliance tool, as a reporting only, because it is actually a transformation of how we plan and produce and market products and services. Obviously it requires from organizations and businesses quite a bit of awareness on something that sounds technocratic from Brussels, that sounds digital for very tangible products like T-shirts or shoes. But it's also about digital readiness for these organizations. And I know we seem to struggle in Germany in general when we talk about digitalization, but the DPP might give us just the push we need also to progress on this matter as well. The digital product passport obviously comes with some digital technology, but digital technology is nothing if you don't feed it with meaningful and validated data in it. It is like trying to run a combustion engine driven car without gasoline in the end. And we have 3 different aspects, and I know that we have some digital experts with us in the community, but mostly, obviously, within CISL, we are all about sustainability. So it's important for the sustainability experts to prepare themselves in order to play together with those colleagues from data and from IT. Because if they don't support you in your endeavor, you're not going to succeed in working together with them. They might not just get why it is urgent. They might not just get why the access to the supplier data, for example, is important, or why the connectivity from the manufacturing part of your product to where you sell it on your e-commerce shops is also going to be required in order to have a seamless sales experience to it. So let's talk briefly on 3 aspects to it, only 3 for today. Centralized product data management. You will need to prepare for having a single source of truth to it, where you can retrieve the information that are to be displayed and played in a digital product passport to it. You also should leverage AI for your data analytics. You definitely will find out that whether your company uses a PIM, a product information management system, or a PLM solution. If it's a bit larger, the likelihood is bigger. So anything where all the BOM data, the bill of material data, is managed can come together, and you will find out that the entries are not as correct as they need to be. This can be because the procurement colleagues did not pay that much attention in the past, or the designers were not too much into the data for these aspects on the metal. Whatever it is, it's on sustainability and it's on product management in order to make sure that these information are correct. Because in the end, the regulators will take a look at it, and you don't want to get disqualified just because of missing data. And the third aspect, and that's also why sustainability should train maybe some tech vocabulary. When we talk about AI, but also when we talk about smart data management, obviously we need to retrieve the data from different sources to it. These are different parts of the organization, like the ERP, where mostly SAP systems store all the information on procurement, for example, as well, but also HR and others, be it in a CAD system, computer-aided design system, or be it from other aspects. And not the least, in order to make sure that all the data can get into the digital product passport, but also can be played out in e-commerce stores. I've prepared for you, and I'm going to jump through this. Later, you will get the handouts here in terms of summing up what I've just touched upon to it. So, what is the unified data management system, but also what's the AI and how to work with the APIs to it. They might help you in getting a couple of keywords to be paid attention to when you talk to your colleagues in IT and data to it. But for now, maybe let me try to summarize on this one. Obviously, you as an organization, you will always need to start with clarity in the topics. Ekaterina, you've mentioned it. This has nothing to do with technology yet, but it means we as an organization need to be able to understand what are the concrete obligations for us as an organization, for our markets, for our products that we serve. Then focus on pilots. And I don't want to bore you, but also pilots are not necessarily already full on the technology. But the pilots are meant to run through the requirements on a specific selected part of your product portfolio, or maybe even just one product, so that you can understand what it means in the end. And you will find also what you are still missing in order to be prepared for a rollout. And then build the connections on the technical side to it, on the systems, reach out to your key suppliers. Once you've run maybe a hotspot analysis to understand which of these information or parts of the product are the most decisive ones, and build the bridges to the people. To the people means, from my experience, there are two drivers for digital product passports. Either it is driven by sustainability/compliance, because they know that this regulation is coming up as a necessity, or it is driven by product. And most of the times product also needs to pay for the effort of preparing, optimizing the data quality for it, in order to ensure that the products continue to be compliant to it. What you should not do is you should avoid to lock yourself in prematurely with a specific DPP vendor. I like DPP platform providers. They are nice guys. They are super creative as well as super motivated. We have more than 40 different brands, companies, startups, established tech providers in the marketplace already. Not everyone is playing in every corner to it. Textile comes with very different requirements than steel manufacturing, obviously, to it. But you should, as an organization, try to understand what is your specific requirement before you lock yourself into conversations with a guy who sells you baguette because he tends to be a baker, but what you actually need is a banana. Then start to build internal capability first. And the third aspect is de-risk the selection process. Once you have the opportunity to to have sprayed out and laid out your requirements. Obviously, it makes it much easier for you to qualify potential DPP partners. In the end, you have a requirements list you can prepare based on already gathered internal experience. So we've talked a lot about compliance, regulatory requirements, and now I've bombarded you with some aspects on data and technology. That is obviously going to be quite important on the whole matter. But the DPP actually comes with something that goes well beyond that. And let us quickly touch upon this. I've brought you 3 examples, and the first one concerns me personally because here at home my coffee machine is broken, and I need to bring it to the service. A DPP will make sure that the information in terms of what kind of parts are actually in place and how to repair the product is going to be much easier. So the data that you provide is not only going to be required information on energy consumption, expected duration and life for your product, but also it's a super opportunity to keep in touch with your consumers, with your customers, to enable repair shops and repair partners for that, and to leverage and use it for your after sales in the end. Another aspect goes into using the DPP and the growing smartness of products for collecting intelligence on the product itself. Here again, I'm using the example on a heat pump. Obviously, the more complex, the more expensive the product is, the deeper are the values the DPP brings into the entire value creation for such products and product service systems, basically, to it. But it's actually happening across the full cycle. You might remember the cycle Ekaterina showed to you just earlier. On the design feedback loops, for example. So you can collect the information from your products and feed it directly back into product development for the next iterations to it. Obviously, it provides you with a deep understanding on the supplier performance because you are building up an interactive exchange platform across the value chain. And it allows you to start and enter into smart product services in the end. And the last, probably quite prominent example, obviously comes from household appliances. We probably all have them in multiple variations at home to it. So turning sustainability into a business model obviously also comes with the intended benefits and goals of a DPP, as it is meant to drive circularity. It is meant to make sure that products are repairable, that they can be used for a longer time, that they do not need to be exchanged prematurely, that the information on the materials in the product support recycling and support the refurbishment of products as well. But it is also helping on product as a service ideas, making the switch from just pushing the products out and then losing contact with customers, but rather making sure that the products can be used longer and actually that the relationship with the buyers can continue for the manufacturing, for the brand. It will change the effort a company needs to put into acquiring customers, convincing them to buy, because simply they have not built up any knowledge, and rather continue long-term relationships with them over the actual use of the product, and entering into just replacing the hardware, but maintaining the relationship and the value creation with the customer in the end. And with that, as said, I will provide you with some more content to read on at a later point. Let's go to a summary so that we can spend still some time in discussion, right? Key takeaways, I hope, just dropping. It's mandatory, it's important. Ekaterina, you shout in. It comes obviously with a couple of challenges, and time is an issue here as well. 18 months, you asked the question, Ekaterina, let's discuss whether this is a realistic expectation to wait until the delegated acts are coming out and then to react and respond and have everything in place within 18 months. One of the keys is the collaboration, the cross-disciplinary collaboration between sustainability, product management or product design, and IT and data. And important for me to get across, DPP is not a tool game. We're not talking about, wow, you need to have this DPP from that provider. It's an organizational evolution. It is a digitalization aspect in the purest sense, means build on data flow, build on understanding how the information is as essential as the hardware for every product that you create, and work as a sustainability expert, work together hand in hand with IT and data and with product and design teams in order to enable them. Acting now ensures compliance, but also unlocks business value and positions to it. So with that, Ekaterina and myself, we say thank you for your attention. Let's jump into Q&A. Birgit, you promised that you are going to take your on mute still. You promised that you are going to moderate the questions.
Now I'm unmuted. Yeah, I always talk when I'm unmuted. That's good. So I think it's great, and thank you so much once again, Ekaterina and Wolfgang. Incredibly great insights and really very, very from experts knowing the digital product passport. And there has been two things which stick to me. It's about the timing. So the one was on the very large slide, Wolfgang saying act now, and the other was the question Ekaterina raised during her session, asking, where are you at the moment? Are you already started to act? And do you think the 18 months are time enough to start? So open the question up with the time frame about acting now and 18 months to the crowd here, to our community. So who wants to start first?
I could give an example, which is part answering the question. So a master student wrote an assignment about DPP a couple of weeks ago. And basically it says also the three obstacles. This is the technology part, the organizational part, and information part. So therefore, answering your question, the time frame, most of the companies that I'm talking to, they rely on the EU to expand the deadlines, soften the requirements like they did with the omnibus process. Because if you're going to see the reality in the company, so the digital product passport requires information about CO2 footprint, about materiality, about recycling. So those information are not available in the next couple of years in smaller companies. And the EU raises the bar of the reporting responsibilities for companies above 1,000 employees per year and extended the deadline. And all of the smaller companies, if they are maybe responsible in 2029 or 2028 to report, so they will not start very early. And as I said, there are a lot of informations are prerequisite from this CSRD process to feed into the DPP. I personally don't believe that this will be as harsh as it's announced, like the other rules for the CSRD reporting. So answering the question, I don't think the time is enough because the prerequisites are not there. And I hope, honestly, I hope for a lot of companies, the same like the companies do, that the EU will soften that and expand that.
Yeah, thanks for your perspective. I'm very much agree with you, because if we already see that the regulations are being postponed, it can happen again. So I might also thought in this direction. This you mean with the omnibus, for example, right? That they postpone, and that's why you think that this one will be postponed as well.
And then also open up now the discussion for all the others, please, here, and asking questions or what's next, please.
Maybe I just had one question a bit related to the timing as well, because from what I understood, that the ESPR was set in force in 2024, but only 4% of the company considered the topic. So why is this gap so high? Because, for example, I'm working mostly on the CSRD topic, and it was into force, I think, yeah, in kind of the same time. And we are working very hard on it, and many other companies. So why the same things didn't happen for DPP?
If I can answer briefly, I believe it's a combination of the topics we just touched upon. How strongly are organizations believing in communicated timelines? I believe there is an unspoken expectation that timelines are going to be pushed. The other topic is the ESPR, or in German we call it Ökodesignverordnung, is in place since 2024, as you say, Pauline. But the inbuilt requirement for a DPP is still outstanding to it. So it makes it a bit harder for sustainability experts or product teams to get the awareness and the attention of their finance ministers within the organization in order to get invested. I know as a fact from a sustainability manager in a textile company that he has difficulties to get the priority on this topic in place. Which is unbelievable, but if it works out and deadlines are going to be pushed, it will prove them right.
There's another question about finance here coming up from Pauline about how extensive it is for implementing and how can finance gaps potentially be filled.
Yeah, maybe just to clarify, I didn't mean like what does it cost in terms of like exact numbers. Obviously, that's not really easy to answer. But I was wondering more of like about like whether that's a burden, and that's why there's such a big gap between like what needs to happen and what is actually happening. That was more the question that I had.
Well, it's definitely a burden for organizations to get out of their routine, basically. Yeah. But and it will cost money. The investments will need to take place across multiple parts of the organization. I don't think that it will be one budget that will be devoted. The tool itself is not going to be too costly. A DPP is not too complex. But in order to get the data in place, that is effort that consumes time and capacity to get your suppliers in place, maybe to have a better energy consumption measuring and management in place within your factory, so that you can measure better how much energy goes into the factory process of molding your plastic, of cutting your steel, and so on. Most factories are not equipped with smart meters. So all of these examples, they have to get into the routine of planning and manufacturing products.
Okay.
All
thank you.
right. So thank you so much. What's up next? We recorded the session, and we will provide this in our WhatsApp chat for all the others. And yeah, and do you have other topics you'd like to share and give a spotlight from your side as experts into this, or a topic you'd like to learn more and asking to community to have a brain food session and asking for experts? So please share it with me. And thank you so much for our first brain food. Thank you to the two experts, Wolfgang and Ekaterina. Well done. If you want to approach, of course, the two of them because you need help, so do so. They have experts. They are experts. And thank you very much. And I hope we see each other soon. And I will send the invite for the Italy in end of November, December soon, with a proposal of 2 to 3 dates you can choose upon. So looking forward, and thank you so much. And it was fun. I liked it. I liked this brain food. Very delicious. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.